Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. Appreciate y'all being here. You know I do. Hey, it's Friday, okay? I hope you had a good week, and I sure hope you're planning on a good weekend. We have to take care of these weekends, and we have to enjoy them. We have to enjoy the time we can because, hey, let's face it, there is no way to know what tomorrow's going to bring, but you can pretty much guarantee uh, as we progress in the times that we live in, uh, things are going to get worse. You know what? They are. They're going to get worse. So one thing I do want to talk about right here at the moment is non-perishable food, short-term storable food. Now we all know we need long-term storable food. That's a given because this long-term storable food, 25 years plus time, right? And yeah, it's a little expensive, but if you don't have enough of it, you need to get that. But we all know that. That's important. But what's also really important is your short-term storable food, your non-perishable food. The stuff you kind of eat on a maybe daily basis, like, I don't know, pastas, uh, canned goods. You got canned veggies and you got canned fruits and that kind of stuff. That's short-term storable food. That stuff will last in a cool, dry place, uh, 2 years, a couple of years. Guaranteed for sure one good year, but I'd give it 2 years. Anything after that, but it's what I call the stuff that you would eat on a daily basis. And you have your pantry, and that's the stuff you keep kind of hopefully filled up as best you can with what you eat weekly, daily, weekly, something like that. But then you have another place set up, maybe a closet, somewhere, or another pantry. Say you have a secondary pantry in your home, where you get short-term storable food and you stack it in there. You can buy it by the case. You can go to, several different places and buy food, canned goods, basically by the case. And like you said, you want your pastas. You want your like ramen noodles. Yeah, I know, ramen noodles. Get stuff like that. Spaghetti. Macaroni noodles. And get some of these jars of tomato paste and stuff. Stuff you use on spaghettis and stuff. You can buy them. They'll last. They'll last a couple of good years for sure, and longer. And the importance of it is that that's something you eat on a regular basis. It's something you go to. It's like a go-to food. Also have snacks, right? Because you got to have snacks. You just can't not eat all this, stuff, and not have a little something goodies to go with it. If you got kids, they're going to want some candies. Make sure you have some of that on hand. You don't have to have abundance of it, but make sure you have some of that on hand because it's important. There's going to come a time probably where you're not going to find this stuff, in large quantities by any means in your grocery. As things progress, like I said, we're now in what I still consider, and I've talked about this before, an SHtF light. We're going to have, and probably, in my opinion, this is my opinion. Now, your opinion can differ by any means. But from looking at stuff that's going on around and all the stuff that they're talking about, homegrown terrorism, and then all the stuff that they're talking about, this Democratic Socialist of America, the communists, they're going out and they're marrying up with the Antifas. They're marrying up with Islamic terrorism, and they're expecting to do a whole lot of internal damage or disrupt power sources, water sources, fuel sources, food, the food chains. They're planning on disrupting all that sometime by the end of the year. They've said this on their own sites. They're planning on doing this. Look at California. They got military bases up everywhere. They're all worried about everything that's going on. They're all on alert because they've somehow going to center on California first, so they say, to disrupt, attack, do whatever they're going to do with the military bases that are in California. But we got military bases all over the place. I don't live that far from one. You may not live that far from one. They're everywhere. Those places are targets. in any place near those places, any small towns or a small city, large cities. These people will be out in the streets interfering with the flow of traffic. And if you don't agree with them, and they'll probably be stopping cars like they do, and we've seen them do this before in several different places in the country, more so, in blue states than red states, but, it just happens to be that way, I guess. We have to be ready for that because these people, they're crazy. They are. Now, one thing you might want to think about, and I've ordered one, I'm going to order one, and it's these non-lethal weapons, and you've seen them. They come in maybe a couple of different colors, orange, kind of a desert color, and then they have black. Technically, I would get the desert color or the orange, because you can carry these things. You can hook it on a holster. They're legal anywhere. It's a non-lethal weapon. What they fire is a little ball that has CS gas and high-grade pepper in it, the pepper solution. You can shoot it 60 feet away. It's a perfect personal self-defense weapon without actually, killing somebody. If they can't attack your car and they get your window broken, you sit there and go pop, pop. And believe me, they'll leave, because that'll incapacitate somebody for probably up to 15 minutes, and it'll be a very bad day for them, with snot running out of their nose and eyeballs all closed up because they can't see. It's a good idea. Then you gives a chance to get the heck out of Dodge, and because you don't want to fight all these people. Unless you got an army with you, you don't want to fight all these people. It's just, it's too complicated and it's too dangerous. The name of the game is to be safe. That's the name of the game. And, if you're out about and away from these towns and cities and stuff, maybe in the suburbs or country or something like that, that's why you want the long-term storable food and short-term storable food, so you don't have to go into towns or go into the little villages or wherever and try and find, shopping and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do that. So, but if you have to go, it's good to have one of those little, it's like a paintball gun. Same order, same thought pattern, but they shoot these CS gas and the pepper. Good, perfect, great idea. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have your other, doesn't mean that. No. You get to have those too. Very important. Make sure you have buku stuff to go in them. You know what I'm talking about. So that's kind of what I just wanted to say. I wanted to wish everybody, a great Friday and have a great weekend. Get out there and do some stuff. Don't let this crazy crap kind of keep you just, in one place, keep you in the house and stuff like that. Because you got to live life. You have to live life, but you just take your little precautions and stuff with you. Always know what's going on around you. If you're out driving and you're in a town, say you're going to a fast food restaurant or any kind of restaurant, you want to see up ahead, and keep your eyes open and see if there's a bunch of people standing around corners or standing around, in the streets, kind of maybe trying to stop traffic. You've seen a few of these places out there that, and I happen to agree, if they step out in front of my car, they're in the road. If you're playing in the road, you can get hurt. That's all I'm saying. So if they step out in front of your car, don't floor it, just keep on going, just drive. They'll move. And if they don't, they'll get hurt. I mean, it's the way it is. And you get your opening, you see your opening, and then Katie brought the door, you get the heck out of Dodge. But, you don't want to actually zap somebody if you don't have to zap somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be coy here because a lot of words people use gets hooked up on YouTube, and little bots check it, and then they come after you, and then they flag you and do all kinds of crap. So you have to be really careful of what you say. There's probably a few, creators out there who kind of get away with saying what they want, but sometimes they don't tell you of all the times they get knocked, flagged, and all kinds of stuff, and come this big and close to getting kicked off. And I don't want to get kicked off. I enjoy what I'm doing. I like talking to those who want to look, listen and stuff like that. It's a two-way conversation. Don't forget to, give them thumbs ups, and and don't forget to give me comments and stuff. I love your comments. Preferably good comments. But if you have a bad comment, you have a bad comment. Just, be coy, be decent about it. You don't have to be mean. If you don't like what I'm talking about, you can tell me and tell me, well, talk about this instead, and I'll take everything in consideration. I do. So I'm just saying, other things you may want to have, one of them, nice to have, it's always good to have. Make sure they're sharp. Make sure they're good. Decent little system. You carry them in your pocket. Nothing wrong with that. Carry a bunch of them. Sometimes people carry these hunting knives in their side and on their strap to the side. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's legal in most places, depending where you go. But anyways, I just wanted to bring that up about the short-term storable food. Your canned goods, like I said, there's beans and there's all kinds of stuff. You get your veggies, you get your fruits, you get your soups. Don't forget your soups, and just sit back and enjoy and watch the mess on TV if you have to, in case that stuff happens. But you kind of mark my word, we're heading into some really bad times. November's going to be some really bad times, depending on how the elections and all that go. And for the next couple of years after that, it's going to get worse. And kind of like I said, I've talked about this before in the last video. When 28 gets here, the way that, depending on how that goes, it's just going to be, a really bad situation afterwards. So you want to be ready for it. You want to be stockpiled and ready to go. So you don't have to get out there in it, because being out there in it can get yourself hurt. So, all right, then. Hey, look, there's nothing but love for you. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Until next time, we'll catch you later.